As the Russia-Ukraine conflict intensifies, any remaining Australians in Ukraine are being told to leave immediately. But our next two guests have decided to do otherwise, with Australian photojournalist Bryce Wilson, who's been on the show many times in the last week or so, remaining in the East, and Australian resident Pixie actually choosing to return to Ukraine after several weeks away.
And Bryce joins us now from the Donetsk Oblast region, and Pixie from Lviv airport, where she's just touched back down. Nice to see you both this morning. Thanks for your time. I'm going to go first to you, Bryce, because I know you went back out on the front lines today, near to where the Russian troops are closing in. Can you just talk us through what you saw and what's happening?
Well, I was primarily interviewing residents, and I don't want to be a party pooper. I know people might think this is somewhat of a comedic situation and everything, but what's happening here is actually incredibly serious. Today, civil infrastructure was damaged by an insane rocket strike. Heating infrastructure for the area was damaged. There were severe fires. Houses in another part of the front line in Luhansk were damaged by shelling. More Ukrainian soldiers have been killed, more have been wounded. I was hearing artillery fire most of the day today. Things are getting much worse here, and people are very worried, but even though when you're there, they don't seem to be preparing or taking it that seriously. A lot of people are scared by these events.
So this is across the border. Is this, I mean, because the Russian president has denied that they've crossed the border at this point, even though it looks like he's got every intent to do so. Is this actually happening on your side of the border?
There are to the best of my knowledge, no Russian military personnel have broken through the front line, and that's part of the reason why I'm still in Kramatorsk, because I don't feel that concerned at the moment, but it really does seem like there is going to be conflict where, without hiding it, the military forces of the Russian Federation who have invaded Ukraine again will very soon, in my opinion, be in direct combat with the Ukrainian armed forces.
Hey, and look, I just want to go to you, Pixie, because I know you've just arrived back in Ukraine, choosing to return. I know you've heard the warnings from the Australian government about evacuating. Just talk us through your decision to come back and to stay, considering what's happening and the escalations we've seen in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, I live in Lviv, which is actually really far away from all of this. It's not as scary as what Bryce was talking about, and that's terrifying. And I can imagine for people that living in that area, it's a very different situation. For me, the Polish border is only 70 kilometres away. I can get there within 45 minutes. And I'm blessed to be a dual citizen, so I can have assistance from the US government, which is already set up at the border.
Are you not worried at all about the air traffic around Ukraine being cut off and you being stuck there?
Well, no, because I'm so close to the border, I can drive there very easily. So for me, planes, I don't need to get a plane out of the country if need be. Obviously, that is terrifying for people who do need to get a plane out of the country or who can't leave the country at all.
So keeping that in mind, and, you know, you are sort of far away from where the action is, but you are still in Ukraine, and it is an escalating situation where no one really knows what's going to happen over the next couple of days or weeks. Why is it important for you to be in the country and not to be back here, you know, at home in Australia right now?
I think I've been given a very specific privilege at the moment, and that's to speak young people's minds that are here in Ukraine and that are also of Ukrainian heritage. We don't really hear much from people like me who are young and growing up in Ukraine or young in Australia with Ukrainian heritage. We have a really passionate and distinct identity, and we don't hear about it a lot. So I have been given that opportunity to voice that.
It's a hell of a decision to make and a brave one. Bryce, back to you momentarily. We've given you a voice of this program for a number of weeks now. We'll continue to do so, and we do appreciate it. When you hear that the Ukrainian president say and call in their own reservists, does that escalate things even further, do you think?
I think so, and in fact I was actually having a call with one friend today in Kiev, and he was a veteran of the early days of the war. He was in some of the most intense fighting, and he is quite concerned and, to be honest, afraid that he's going to have to go back to the front lines again. Many of our mutual friends were killed fighting in the east, and I'm kind of frightened for him because there are thousands of people like him throughout Ukraine that might be mobilized and have their lives taken away from them while they defend the independence of their country as a result of Russia's new invasion in the east.
I mean, as you're talking, Bryce, we're looking at pictures of, of grandmothers practicing with guns and locals sort of getting ready for what is potentially to come. What do you think is going to happen?
I try not to speculate too much because this is not a game. This is people's lives, and I mean, potentially it could cost me my life. But based on what I'm seeing in my history of having worked here, I really do think that there is going to be a war in Donbass. I don't know if there will be a mass-scale invasion, another invasion in Ukraine's sovereign territory, but based on what is happening now and the trend in the Donbass, I really do believe that there will be a significant war there very soon.
You can talk about this. The US President Joe Biden has announced to the world these greater sanctions. He's also said that he's manoeuvring US troops closer to the area, but that's a defensive move, he insists. Will any of that, in your belief, stop Vladimir Putin?
No. Russia has a history of attempting to control Ukraine. You should look into the Holodomor, where the Russian government forcibly starved millions of people to death in Ukraine. It was a genocide. Throughout the entirety of Ukrainian history, whoever it is within Russia has always attempted to control Ukraine and limit their independence. Putin, in my opinion, is hell-bent on controlling Ukraine and won't stop until its independence ceases to exist.
Well, you carry the spirit of us with you over there. There's so many Australians who are deeply worried about Ukraine. We appreciate you being on the show today, and hopefully we'll talk to you in the next couple of days. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Stay safe.